Welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices, and this is the open discussion. And I'm going to start it by turning to my fellow communication partner, Chris Dawkins. Chris, you made a statement that since 1909, the NAACP has done nothing to assist and help Black people. I want to challenge you on that, if you don't mind. You mind if I challenge you?
No. Great question.
You're not going to get nasty with me.
No, great question.
You're not going to crack on me like you usually do.
Hey, I don't get nasty with you. You want to fight me.
Okay.
But I think you bring up a good point. When I say nothing, folks, humans especially, like to generalize. Okay. And when I say nothing, that's not necessarily true.
Okay.
But what I do mean is that when you look at that kid that's on the street now, okay, and they're, say, maybe 30 years of age, they've been out of school, they've done whatever, what are you doing to be able to recruit them? What are you being able to do to look at their issues of today? And do you really feel that the issues of today that these kids are going through, our Black kids are going through, are the same issues of tomorrow? And I think those things are the things that have to be asked, and you make a decision as to whether or not the NAACP is going to be relevant or not. Because if it does not make these changes, they will not be relative in the future.
Okay, let me respond to that. Then I'll go to Caleb. The problem with these kids today is they don't realize what we went through to get them to this point. Okay?
Whose fault is that?
It's the teaching, I guess. I don't know. But these kids don't realize there was a time when you had to ride on the back of a bus. There was a time when you had to go to a segregated school.
But let me push back on that just as well. No, I want to say this. When you look at Florida and those people who are saying they're going to keep out your information in those books and the things that you're talking about doing, what are you going to do about that?
Okay, that's good. I hate to ever say or try to make something good of what DeSantis does. But what DeSantis is doing is making these young kids realize what it used to be for Black folks in this country. And that's something they need to know, because they think all of a sudden everything was fine. And so therefore they don't need the NAACP. They don't realize that without the NAACP, things are going to go back, and they're seeing it with DeSantis, and they're seeing it with this idiot in Austin. So yeah, I'm not putting it on the organization. I'm putting it on the fact that I always call it the post-civil rights generation. And they don't realize what it was. They don't realize what it was in this country before the civil rights movement and all that. So that's how I respond to that. But I need to go over to. But do you want?
Caleb. No. Go ahead. I want to hear what Caleb.
I'm gonna piggyback off of all y'all questions and everything that y'all said so far. And so, looking at the assault on Black history and Black education in Florida, looking at the assault on the same thing, Black education in Texas. The law that they passed requiring schools to consider ACT and SAT scores, which we know how we score, we know how that affects us. The decision, the Supreme Court decision as far as diversity, as far as admissions to affirmative action. And so taking all those things into consideration, and the history of the NAACP, being the leading voice for African-American education and pushing that forward, right? And so with everything that's going on in this day and age, I was wondering if you could share, maybe even reach out to and give voice to some of your contemporaries in the NAACP, and just voice your opinion about what do you think as far as the way, and taking into consideration the way they operate. I know we spoke a little bit about the way the NAACP operates on a legal scale, and they're haven't been very vocal. And so maybe, do you think that they should be more vocal? Do you think that they should be doing more legally to challenge some of these things? And so what's your recommendation to some of your colleagues out there?
Well, NAACP does have a strong youth department, a strong youth movement. Really. Hopefully things are going on with the youth, and they have an opportunity to share their talents, to encourage them if they win recognition at national as well as local and state meetings. But no, we can always, we should always be focusing on the youth, because youth, they're the future. So you can't do it, without the youth. But it takes dedication, and it takes people who are devoted to ensuring that they are involved and that they have an opportunity to feel a part of the organization. I feel like locally, yes, the youth do, in fact, not as many as we would like, but there's an effort to reach out and involve the youth. And they have come home with various medals. I suspect from this national convention at the next meeting, we'll be informed regarding how well our youth did in terms of their talent and what have you. So, but the seriousness of the efforts, sometimes youth may not get it, here and there, but eventually they will, if they're members and hang on, they'll finally become who we have been, take our places.
Brother Johnson, do you think that the NAACP should be doing more legally as far as challenging some of these things? Do you think that they should be a lot more vocal as far as challenging some of the things that are being done to affect our access to education?
Absolutely. I think they need to be vocal, not only education, but all over the all over the place. I mean, there's various issues that has impacted us. So yes, I would love to see them more vocal, starting at home and abroad. But sometimes the branches around the country take their cues from national, and sometimes national have been, I think we have a situation where this national board we have is a 64-member, I call elite board. And they meet in Hawaii and all over the world, what have you, and do that little dilly, but I'm not sure they.
Who pays their way?
Huh?
Do they pay their way?
Well, they have the monies from various, monies that they raise, they're
So
doing
they don't pay it out of their pocket.
No, they don't pay it out of their pockets. No, of course not. When we have a Freedom Fund dinner, which we'll have in October, I think 20 or 25% of that goes to national. And all units around the country, it's the same thing.
I know you want to get to Sharon, but I want to ask
Sure.
a quick question. If the NAACP were to say we want everybody to stay home on a certain date, what would those corporations that sit on the board, what do you think they're going to say? Because they're not going to have workers that day.
Well, I didn't say corporations sit on the board.
No, I'm saying corporations sit on the board.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm telling you.
all right. Okay. Well,
Wait, clarify that, because you're saying corporations don't sit on the board.
no, I didn't say
And
they
he
don't.
He didn't say that.
But
I
no,
thought you
no,
said
He just said he didn't say it.
no. That's
Oh, okay.
no. Now, board members are elected.
Okay.
They're elected, and I don't know. There may be someone from the corporate world who's on the board as a result of an election.
Like UPS.
But basically, as far as I know, like we have our state president who sits on the board. He's been there forever. I can't think of his name right now, but anyway, people have been there a long, long time. But let's just be hopeful that things will eventually change in a way that we'll be benefited from.
Okay. Sharon.
I do have a question. Piggybacking off of what Chris said. Communicating a nationwide boycott, if you will.
Yeah.
We stay home one day and don't spend money. How would that be communicated?
The NAACP. Well, NAACP has units all over the country and indeed different parts of the world. It's a matter of notifying the units what's to happen and depending upon the units to ensure that there's a follow through.
So
They're not very effective, because they called for the boycott in Florida, and the Association of African American Studies, Dr. Woodson's organization, is going to Jacksonville in September.
Or the Kappas who were just there.
And they're so I don't know how effective the NAACP is.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. It sounds like a lack of respect for the organization, and we suffer as a result. But we as a people have always had that as a challenge, coming together, as a people and pulling the same direction.
That's why I asked you about Sharpton. That's why I asked you about Sharpton. Because what you're saying now is these organizations, what Sharpton's doing, he should be doing for the NAACP.
Well, That's a good point. You know, but you know how we are. I mean, we'll start a church and get 5 members, and you got a church, rather than joining up with something that's already, rather than reinventing the wheel. So yeah, no, I understand. No, I agree with you. It should be.
I'm sorry. And so when we started at the beginning of the discussion, we talked about the relevance of the NAACP. And so with what Professor Williams just said about people ignoring the call for the boycott, so let me ask you this. Do you think that the NAACP has lost its relevance in this time? You have other organizations that have stepped forward, like Black Lives Matter, for example. And so when you turned on the news after the George Floyd incident, what you saw was a youth movement. You saw Black Lives Matter on the front line of all these incidents of police violence. And so the NAACP, do they suffer? Is it something in their DNA where they don't take to the streets, where they aren't visible? Do you think that's affecting them in this day and age? And affecting their membership and affecting their ability to call for boycotts? Is it affecting their leadership? And so again, to go to the topic, is it still relevant? Has it been left behind?
You know, to answer your question, no, I think the answer has to be yes. It has in fact impacted it in terms of its ability to garner attention and get people on the same page regarding a given event. But it's not to the extent that I think we can, throw the baby out with the dishwater, if you will. I mean, we need it, and while it tends to be a little more politically attuned, it wants to walk the chalk line and not do things that it should. It seemed like the attitude is that, to have a boycott, march down the street, and I've done that one time. Rockymore was president. He's the only local president that I've known who worked through, so we had to actually boycott downtown against this hotel. I was delighted. That was right there some years ago. But the organization has moved away from that, and I think it's to its own detriment in doing so.
You make a good point, Brother Caleb. If all those Black Lives Matter young people joined the NAACP,
Sure did.
they joined the NAACP,
Yeah.
that would make it, if L. Sharpton would take his organization, join the NAACP,
Absolutely. Join forces.
it would join forces, like you said, not have a church on every block.
Yeah.
But to be proactive, how come they can't join, or how come the NAACP can't join in with their efforts? We have here in this city the largest Martin Luther King march.
Yeah, we do.
I've seen individuals who are NAACP members, but I've never seen the NAACP as an organization participate.
Well, that's participation, though, now.
No,
So,
I want to see a banner with the NAACP on it and marching so that when the other people see that, they understand that there's a presence.
I've seen that, though. Really.
Okay.
Down through the years, no, we have a banner, and not enough people the numbers aren't what they should be, but no, NAACP has a banner, just like my fraternity has a banner, you sorority has, no, they did that with the banner.
Even going back to Professor Williams' point, and Chris's point, so if you have Black Lives Matter who wants to combine forces or join with the NAACP, would the NAACP say, well, welcome guys, but we don't march?
Well, no, that's not the way it works.
We don't protest.
In my mind, when you join up, if you're going to be a yearly member, you pay your $30. You're a member in good standing, and you participate. If you actively participate, yes, and you can push from within. You can't do much from without.
Okay, we have to end this session. Thank you, William, for being here
Sure,
with
you're quite
us.
welcome. Absolutely.
And hopefully we can have you back at another time, because I think this is still wide open. And
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
enjoy.
Great discussion.
This is
So
great.
we'll be right back with hot topics, and it's going to be about Niger and what's happening over there, and that's going to be led by our wandering on the Caribbean, Caleb Ellington.
What encyclopedia?
We'll be right back
Yeah, I
with
love it. Yeah. This is good.